Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new, hi. I cover celebrity news with a fun, first-hand vibe. If you like that, maybe hit subscribe. Today we're talking about Benny Blanco and the reports that he's willing to brave a very long boat trip just to see Selena Gomez in the UK. He's talked about his fear of flying, so the idea of him sailing across the Atlantic has people raising eyebrows. It's definitely a different way of showing commitment, if those reports are accurate. Fans online have been surprised, amused, and some even impressed, calling it really romantic. From where I'm sitting, it's the kind of celebrity moment that turns into a bigger conversation about how far people will go to be with someone they miss. If you're into this kind of story, stay with me, because there's more coming. So, while the internet jokes and swoons, I'm noticing folks are framing this as a sweet gesture in a very public spotlight. It's the kind of story that makes social media do what it does: overanalyze motives, debate logistics, and imagine how a transatlantic boat trip might really play out in real life. Some fans are calling it dedication, others are joking about cruise snacks and seasickness. I'm more curious about how tiring that trip would be compared to a plane. If this is accurate, it shows a willingness to do something inconvenient rather than routine, just to close the distance. And, naturally, that ramps up the public chatter. Before I go further, if you're enjoying these updates, subscribe for more pop culture breakdowns. People love to exaggerate these things online. One group calls it a grand romantic gesture. Another says, just book the flight. And then there are the practical voices reminding everyone how long sea travel takes and what that means for schedules. What I'm hearing overall is that people interpret effort through their own lens. Some see commitment, others see inconvenience, and a few see pure spectacle. I'm sticking to describing what's being reported and how people are reacting, without pretending to know more than that. I also think the timing is what makes this whole situation so interesting. Selena has been away working, and whenever someone you love is in another country, even a normal amount of time apart can suddenly feel much longer than it actually is. You can be busy, surrounded by people, working on exciting projects, and still find yourself thinking, I just want my person here. That is the part of this story that I think a lot of people understand. It is not necessarily about some huge dramatic gesture every single time. Sometimes you simply miss somebody, and you want to be near them. In this case, though, the journey itself is what is everyone talking. I mean, when most people think about traveling between New York and the UK, they immediately think about getting on a plane, watching a movie, trying to sleep, and arriving several hours later. But if someone is genuinely uncomfortable with flying, then that simple trip suddenly becomes a completely different challenge. And that is why the reported decision to travel by sea has become such a big talking point online. Now, I want to be clear that I am looking at this from the public information and the reactions surrounding it. I am not pretending I know every private detail of their relationship, because honestly, none of us are sitting in their living room listening to every conversation they have. But based on what has been publicly shared, Selena has made it known that she misses Benny. Benny has spoken openly about not liking to fly, and now people are connecting those two things because he is reportedly making his way across the Atlantic to see her. And I completely understand why people are reacting so strongly. The internet loves a romantic gesture, especially when it comes with a little bit of chaos. If this were simply, Benny booked a flight and went to see Selena, people would probably say, ah, that is sweet, and move on. But a boat, a transatlantic journey, several days at sea, suddenly, everyone has an opinion. People are calculating the travel time, imagining what the ship is like, wondering what he is doing during the journey, and joking about whether he will ever want to make the return trip. And honestly, I have to admit, I also find myself thinking about the return journey. Because, okay, he gets to the UK, Wonderful. He reunites with Selena. Everybody is happy. They spend time together. But then what? Is he going to turn around and spend another week on a ship? Is he suddenly going to decide that maybe flying is not so bad after all? Or is the couple going to figure out another plan? That is the part nobody seems to be talking about as much. And it is making me laugh, because the romantic gesture is one thing, but the logistics afterward are a whole different story. Still, I think the reason people are enjoying this story is because it feels so personal and so unusual. Celebrity relationships are often viewed through a very polished lens. We see red carpet appearances, social media posts, interviews, and carefully chosen photographs. But then you get a story like this, where the main detail is simply that somebody apparently wanted to see their partner and chose a very unconventional way to get there. Suddenly, it feels a little more relatable. Obviously, most of us are not crossing the Atlantic on a ship every time we miss someone. But the feeling of missing somebody, that part is universal. You can be having a perfectly good day and then suddenly realize that the person you really want to talk to is somewhere else. You can be surrounded by people and still wish one specific person were standing next to you. That is why I think fans connected with Selena talking about missing Benny. It is a very simple emotion, but it is one that people recognize immediately. And then Benny's reported journey adds this completely unexpected twist. Instead of just being another celebrity relationship update, it becomes a story about distance, fear, effort, and timing. And of course, because this is the internet, people are going to turn it into a full cinematic experience. One person sees a romantic husband making a huge effort. Another person sees somebody who has found the longest possible way to travel. Someone else is probably looking at the price of a transatlantic crossing and wondering whether the entire trip is worth it. And then you have the people who are simply enjoying the drama from the sidelines, which, honestly, is where I am. I am here for the story. I am here for the jokes. I am here for the questions. And I am especially here for the idea that someone who openly dislikes flying may have decided that a multi-day boat journey was the better option. That is commitment to a travel preference, if nothing else. What I also find interesting is how quickly the story became connected to Benny's previous comments about flying. Whenever a celebrity has openly talked about a fear or a personal habit, the internet remembers. You can say something years ago, and then one day you make a decision that connects directly to that old comment, and suddenly everybody brings it back. That is exactly what seems to be happening here. Benny has spoken about not flying and about choosing boats when traveling to Europe. So when people heard that he was reportedly making his way across the ocean by sea, they immediately connected the dots. And honestly, I understand why. The details line up in a way that makes the story feel almost too perfect. Selena is in the UK. Selena has reportedly been missing Benny. Benny does not like flying. Benny is reportedly traveling by boat. Put all of that together, and suddenly you have a storyline that practically writes itself. If you are enjoying this kind of celebrity story, go ahead and subscribe, because I promise you, the internet is never short of unexpected plot twists. Now, I also think it is important to talk about the way fans react to celebrity relationships in general. People become invested in couples when they feel like they understand the dynamic. With Selena and Benny, many fans seem to enjoy the fact that their relationship has become a source of constant conversation. People notice the little things they post, the way they talk about each other, and the moments when they appear to miss one another. That does not mean the public knows everything about the relationship.